Hi, I'm Tony Northrup, and this is part of my Lightroom video training series. This lesson is going to be a little bit different than some of the other lessons because in this lesson, we're going real world behind the scenes. In this lesson, I'm going to go through photos from a recent wedding shoot that Chelsea and I did, and I haven't gone through them yet. So what we have are several thousand pictures that I'll need to create previews for, organize, cull, and then edit. And I'll do most of the organizational stuff, and then I'll bring Chelsea in to handle some of the polishing and fine-tuning and giving the photos that look and feel that you often end up going to post-processing for because the clients had some special requests for how they look. So I'll get started right away by jumping into the Lightroom library itself. Now the first thing I'll do is go in and just open the catalog. So when I was traveling, we had to go to Montana for this, and I saved everything into a catalog on my laptop. So the first thing I would do is go into File and Open Catalog and select my external hard drive where the laptop saved them, and then find the folder where I saved the catalog file. So here we see the LRCat file that I created on my laptop. Now I bring that up because this is a common professional workflow where you need to switch from one computer to another, and an external hard drive is a convenient way to do that. But if you want to work with the same catalog and not have to re-import all the pictures and reset all the metadata, then you'll want to store the catalog also on the external hard drive. This can work pretty well if you're using a fast USB 3 hard drive, if you're using a USB 2 hard drive, or if your computer only supports USB 2, then it can be painfully slow. But if you can go USB 3, then it's just about as fast as using it on your local computer. So go ahead and open the catalog. And now my first order of business is going to be just isolating all the wedding pictures from all the other pictures that I happen to take on the trip. So there are some personal pictures in here that the clients won't ever need to see. And I'm going to do this with collections. So I have a lot of pictures that I need to organize, and that means I'm going to be creating hierarchies of collection sets to allow myself to easily separate out the pictures that I want to share with the clients from those that they'll never need to see. So I'm going to create a collection set just for the wedding. Notice that I'm putting the client name in there, because if you were shooting other weddings, it could end up getting confusing. And then off the top of my head, I'm going to start to create other collection sets within that just for organizational purposes. So the structure of most wedding shoots are you start with the pre-ceremony stuff or the getting ready stuff. We didn't do a lot of the traditional getting ready shoots for this particular ceremony because they didn't want it. So there aren't too many in there. And then I'll create a separate group for the ceremony. Notice that I'm creating collection sets. Collection sets are for organization. I created that in the wrong group, so I'm dragging it up. Collections store pictures, collection sets store other collection sets. It's just like folders. And I'm going to be creating other collection sets within each of these, or other collections within each of these. So that's why I'm creating collection sets. So I have the pre-ceremony and the ceremony, and then I'll create one for the reception, and another collection set for posed pictures. Now I'm going to scroll through this. I have the thumbnail set to a size that makes it fairly easy for me to identify where the pictures are from, but still allows me to see as many pictures on the screen as possible. I don't need this right now, so I can expand it to show even more of my screen. And you know what? I'm going to make the most use of my screen space as possible, so I'm going to hit Shift F and hide that menu bar. Now I have a little more room for thumbnails. I can even hide this away, because all I need right now are thumbnails and my collections over here so I can organize my pictures. Okay, so here I see some of the pictures from the rehearsal dinner the night before, and I didn't create a collection set for that. So I will go ahead and select the rehearsal dinner pictures. We just took a few pictures, we weren't really working. And I will add these to a collection, and I'll put it inside the Liz and Jamie collection set. Now I'll jump back to the all photos and continue the culling process. I recognize these as more pictures from the rehearsal dinner, so I'll go ahead and continue to drag these into the rehearsal dinner collection. What I did there was I'm clicking, and then I hold down the Shift key and Shift click the last picture that I want to select. That selects everything in between, And now I can just drag it right over to the rehearsal dinner folder. Okay, so scrolling down a little bit further, I see the beginning of the posed pictures set. And I recognize these because I was there. That makes it pretty easy, right? These don't really count. These are more kind of goofing off pictures. So I think I'll create a whole new collection just for the goofing off pictures where we weren't really taking the posed pictures. You just want as many different collections and collection sets as you can. It will make it much easier to find pictures. Particularly with a wedding, you have the task of giving them a set of required pictures. So you have to have a picture of the father and the bride dancing, and you have to have a picture of the ring bearer walking up the aisle. So you don't get to just pick your 10 best pictures from the entire set. You get to pick your best picture of the ring bearer and the best picture of the dance and the best picture of the cake cutting. So to make that easier, you make collections for all your pictures of the cake cutting and all your pictures of the ring bearer, and then you pick the best one. So with a wedding shot like this, we make heavy use of organization, and that's why I'm spending so much time organizing these photos. So I'm making a collection here called Goofing Off, and just in case I ever want these, I'll be able to jump to them real quickly. It made it in the wrong group accidentally because I didn't select it properly, but that's easy to rectify just by dragging it up to the correct collection, Liz and Jamie's wedding. All right, so what I see here are more pre-ceremony pictures. Click and then shift click, and I'll add these to a new collection inside the pre-ceremony collection set because you can't put pictures inside a collection set. So I'll select pre-ceremony here, and then I'll call it just inside the house. And I'm not sure I'm even going to have other collections inside of pre-ceremony. All right, and these pictures clearly look like some goofing off pictures. So go ahead and drag those to the goofing off collection. Now we see something interesting here. These pictures are all wildly overexposed, obviously. And this happens to the best of us, right? Because you change your camera settings, you put it in manual mode, and then you forget to set it back, or you add a bunch of exposure compensation, and then after you're done, you forget to set it back. I always try to remember to set it back, but sometimes I forget. Or sometimes the mode dial on the camera will get switched accidentally, and it'll get flipped to manual mode instead of aperture priority mode, and you won't notice it. Anytime you use DSLRs, it's very easy to overlook these sort of exposure problems. Fortunately, since I shoot RAW, I might be able to recover these. So I can see that I have these pictures just wildly overexposed. I'll go ahead and select everything, and then I'll just use these dials over here to dial it down for the entire group. All right, and you can see they're kind of coming back. I'm hoping that these pictures aren't pictures that I needed. Sometimes you can recover them pretty well, but looking at these pictures, you can see even dropping in 3 stops of exposure compensation in Lightroom wasn't enough to recover them. So these pictures are a loss. And generally when I'm confident that I can never use a picture, I'll just delete it. So I select those, I'll delete it, that'll save some space and I won't have to fool with them again. Now, a lot of the times if there's a picture that I'm not crazy about, I'll just rate it as 1 star. Even if it's blurry, if I think I might need it, if it's the only picture I had of the ring bearer, it might have to be good enough. But those pictures were simply unusable and they also weren't important. Better just to get rid of them. All right, so I'll continue on, and I definitely know that these are just goofing off pictures that I won't need to refer to. So I'll just grab these and drop them to the goofing off folder. Sometimes those can be the most fun pictures, so I definitely want to keep them and be able to access them. Okay, so these are some getting ready pictures. I recognize these thumbnails as being of the band as they were getting ready. So I will add these to a pre-ceremony collection and call it outside. Switch back to the all photographs group. These are more pre-ceremony photos, so I'm going to scroll down and select all of them and then drag it over to the inside the house group. These are more goofing off. These were just, well, these are actually videos, so we won't be needing these right now. You know, I can see that a large group of these have the white balance set incorrectly because we probably shifted from inside to outside and didn't get it set. So real quickly, I'm just going to go ahead and fix that. I selected them all, and then over here under white balance, I'm just going to set it to auto, and that'll probably fix it for me. There we go. So this will make it much easier for me to preview the pictures later because I hate looking at thumbnails that are bad, and you might think the pictures are actually bad, but since it can be so easy to have Lightroom fix it for all the pictures all at once, I'll just do that right away as I'm culling the pictures. I know that these are all getting ready inside pictures, so I'll drag that to that same group. These pictures I can tell from the thumbnail they're overexposed, so I'll drop them down. Those look like they actually recovered pretty well. Those go in the goofing off folder. Okay, so now I can see we start to get into the actual posed pictures. And for the posed pictures, I'm going to create several collections inside the posed pictures collection set, because I know we're going to want to take just the very best picture of the entire group. There's going to be one picture where hopefully everybody's looking at the camera and everybody's smiling and the kids don't have their fingers in their noses. I don't need to put 10 pictures of the entire group. I just need to find the best one. So I'm going to create a collection for those posed group pictures and put all of them in there. And that way later, I can just find the very best one and forget about the rest. I'll create other collections for just the bride's family and just the groom's family. So I'll start by selecting all these photos here. I'll go ahead and correct these exposure problems. God only knows why I had the exposure problem so soon in the process, but there we go. Oh, that's not working. Okay, that's about the most I'm going to get out of it. Clicking the last one, shift clicking the first one that selects the whole group. Now I will put that into a new collection. I'll call it Big Group. And I'll drop it inside the posed pictures collection set. I can tell just from the thumbnail that these are more photos of the full group. So drop that in there. Okay, so there's always a few shots in between the groups. They might be test shots, or they might have been a fun moment that I decided to grab. So I'm going to save those and drag them into the Goofing Off catalog there. Or collection, not catalog. So let's see which this is. So zooming in on this picture, I see that this is the bride's family. So I'll select all the pictures from the same group, click and then shift click, and then I'll add that to the bride's family collection inside the posed pictures collection set. Zoom in here and we just have the bride's parents. So many posed pictures. Create a new collection, bride's parents. So now you'll notice that we have some odd pictures that are just getting mixed in. And that's because we were shooting with multiple cameras and we didn't sync the clocks ahead of time. Lightroom does make it easy to change the clocks on one camera, but only in increments of an hour because it's meant to be a time zone type thing. And I checked already, they weren't an even hour increment, so it doesn't make sense for me to use that. I'll just have to kind of manually sort it out. But as a result, not all the pictures will be in sequence because the pictures from different cameras will get mixed up with each other, but putting them into collections will pretty much sort that out anyway. So I'll go ahead and grab these that got interjected into the posed pictures group. These clearly look like some pre-ceremony goofing off, so I'll drag those over. Make sure that I got those shots in. I did. Okay. So here we have another shot. I'll zoom in here. This is the groom's family. Makes a lot of sense to do this right after the wedding before you forget who everybody is. So right now I'm holding down the control key and clicking these individually. Shift clicking selects an entire range. Control clicking selects individual photos. And because there were so many pictures mixed in, it just made it quicker for me to select individual photos. So I'll create a new collection here. Groom's family. Inside the posed pictures collection set. Jump back to all photographs. I'm noticing some of the ring shots in here. These are really important shots. I'll probably only pick one or two of the ring shots to actually share with the family. I'll go ahead and create a new collection for that. And for the remainder here, I'll click and then shift click and then just drag it over. So I'll zoom into these pictures to see what this is, and this is goofing off. This is the pictures that we don't necessarily need to provide, but might have something fun. So I'll drop them in there. And then here we have more of the posed pictures. This is the groom and the groomsmen. So I'll go ahead and select all of these. Just the bros, being cool. Oh, guys never like taking the pictures, man. Maybe there's like one guy who's willing to play along, but then they always end up being goofy and making your life as a photographer difficult. Okay, so we'll create a collection inside the posed pictures for groomsmen. All right, our collection is coming along pretty quick. We're starting to see some pictures from the ceremony mixed in here. This is the band playing. So what I'll do is create a collection called Band inside the ceremony collection set. We'll definitely want to include at least one picture of the band because they're friends with the family. And that's one of the things that it's important to know as a wedding photographer is if the justice of the peace or the band have a special relationship, then you want to make sure you capture pictures of them as well. Not just a casual picture, but better, more intense pictures. So going back into the posed pictures here, I think we got all of these groomsmen pictures, but I'll just make sure. These are more pre-ceremony pictures. I'll drag those into the appropriate folder. I see more posed pictures in here. This is the bride with the kids, with the ring bearer and the flower girl. So create a new collection for that inside the posed pictures. These are some more posed pictures. This is the bride and the maid of honor. All right, so this is the bride and her brothers. Create a new collection for that. Can't explain these pictures. I wonder if one of the kids got a hold of my camera. All right, so these are still just getting ready. This is the groom and his siblings. Posed pictures of them. Create a collection for that. Okay, so I see some ceremony pictures mixed in here, and the ceremony is actually starting here. We can see the mother of the bride, or mother of the groom, rather, and father of the groom walking down the aisle. So I'm going to go ahead and select all of these. Oh, there's the ring bearers. Okay, so to organize these, I'm going to create a collection for just all of the pictures before the ring bearer. So inside of ceremony, I'll create a collection called pre-ring bearer. You know what? I'll call it family. And I can see this is the ring bearer there and the flower girl, so I'll select all of those. Those are really important pictures to get. Oh, the bride starts walking down the aisle through here somewhere. Okay. So these are shots of the bride walking, and that's a really important shot to include, so I'm going to make an entire collection for that. Okay, so now we have a ton of pictures of the actual ceremony itself. Create another collection for that. Inside the ceremony collection set. That's a big one. And then here I can see from the thumbnails that they're walking away from the ceremony. So I'll just make a separate collection for the leaving. Spot some more band pictures in here, so I know right where those need to go. Into the band category. Looks like these are a couple more ring shots that we grabbed, so I'll drop those in the right category, make sure that absolutely nothing is lost. And then after the ceremony and before the reception, there's always a few shots that are taken of people just kind of hanging out. So I'll go ahead and put those into a post-ceremony group just to keep them separate. I shift-clicked to select an entire range, but it had some pictures that I didn't want to add to the category, so then I'm holding down the Control key and deselecting just those that I don't want to add. Now I'll go ahead and drop those into the post-ceremony group. And then those pictures that I did see that I wanted to add, I'm going to Control-click each of them. These pictures are just pictures of the environment. So it's pretty common to take pictures of the location that you're at to kind of make it look as beautiful as possible so people can remember the venue. And for this particular wedding, it was at the groom's parents' house. So I know it's going to be important for them to make the house look beautiful so that they can remember the way the location worked. I'm going to definitely want to share at least one of those pictures, probably several. So I'm going to create a collection set just for that. So I've selected those, and I'll just create a top-level collection inside the Liz and Jamie wedding, and I'll call it location. And you can see because we had multiple cameras and they weren't synced up perfectly that we're seeing some pictures from the ceremony again, but no problem. I'll just drag them into the right collection set. These pictures I recognize as being of the reception location, which is at a different spot. So I'll create a separate collection for location inside the reception collection set. And you know what? I see that I created a location collection earlier, but just for the ceremony location. So I'll drag that into the correct collection set. These are more shots of the reception location. These are shots of the band at the reception, so I'll create a new collection called Band inside the reception collection set. So here I see some pictures from the wedding ceremony, and I was sure to grab pictures of the bar. People just kind of think of that as a memory, especially because they had a special drink, an old fashioned, that was meaningful to them. So I was sure to collect pictures of the bartenders mixing the drinks, and I want to be sure to send one of those to the bride and groom. So for that reason, I'm going to want to make sure to set aside a separate collection for that particular special moment, that one entity of the wedding. So I'll select those pictures and create a collection for them inside the reception collection set. I see lots of drink mixing going on here. I see another category here. These are pictures of the decorations at the reception. That's another key element that you need to capture. So I'll create a separate group for that. And at some point during the reception, the bride and groom show up. Most of the time people have been waiting for them, and they usually throw some stuff. That's what people do. That's an important moment to capture, and that means it deserves its own collection. So I'll create a new collection inside the collection set. So this family didn't want a lot of posed table pictures at the reception. A lot of times you go table to table and take pictures of every family together. They instead asked for candids. So I tried to get candids of most of the people that were at the reception. So I'll just create one big group for candids and drop everything in there, and I might have to organize it some more later, but for the time being, I'll keep it fairly simple. I'll just select all these candid pictures that I see. New collection. Inside the reception collection set. I see some more of the just general decorations, part of the environment. Drop them into the direct decorations collection. There's some band pictures. Dancing is a common theme at reception, so any pictures of people dancing I'll drop into their own collection inside the reception collection set. Lots of fun dancing shots here. So for me, from out to the reception, I'm just separating the candids, the dancing, and the band shots. During this particular wedding, the bride and groom decided to do the post pictures before the ceremony. And I always warn people about this, but you always run out of time because the ceremony has to start at a particular time and you never know how long post pictures will take. So we ended up going back and taking the post pictures kind of during the reception at the reception location. So for that reason, I have a separate set of post pictures of the bride and groom at the reception location. I'll just create a separate collection for them inside the post pictures collection set. right, so here we have some pictures of the formal dances that happen during the reception. The dancing between the bride and groom, and sometimes it's the groom and his mom and the bride and her dad. So we'll separate those out because we want to include a couple of pictures of each. Here's another important moment, the cutting of the cake. Want to make sure I get at least one of those pictures, probably several, so I'll make a separate collection for that. And that completes the organizing part of the wedding shoot. Now, I don't know why we ended up with so many pictures for this particular wedding. A typical number is like 1,000 to 1,500, and we took about 4,500 pictures. They were our friends as well as our clients, so I think we were a little excited about it. We took way too many pictures, but it took me a little less than an hour to organize all of those photos, and now I have them in nice little chunks, and that makes it much easier to manage because I know I need one picture from the entire group photos, and it's easy for me to just go through and pick out the very best one. So I'm not going to go through and edit all 4,500 pictures with you, but I will go through and pick a couple of the different shots that I know I need to hand to the clients and find the best one, and then we'll bring Chelsea in here to polish it up a little bit. So let's start with a picture of the bride and the maid of honor. So now that I have it organized, I can just go in and select the correct collection. Here we go, maid of honor. You can see I got 43 pictures of the two of them. And what I usually do is I work backwards because pictures usually get better towards the end of a shoot. So I'll start here and I'm going to rate them from 1 to 5. And you won't see it on the screen because I'm going to be using the keyboard to rate them 1 to 5. And right here, you know, the bride here is looking off camera. So I know that's going to be a 1. And then I'm just going to press the left key to go to the previous one. And I still don't have eye contact, so that gets a 1. Okay, I have eye contact from both of them, but the smile is a little awkward. No eye contact gets a 1. No eye contact gets a 1. So I'm going to go through just real quickly, and these are cute pictures. I'm not going to delete them, but they're not the picture I'm looking for. They were having too good of a time, I think. Okay, that's a decent picture. I'll give that one a 3. That's a more solid picture. Closed eyes gets a 1. Go to the previous one. That's a solid picture. Get a 4. This picture is not as good as the previous picture, so I know I don't need it. I'm just going to give it a 1. That's a decent picture, though the light didn't quite work out. No eye contact from the bride. That's a nice picture, too. I'll give that one a 4. That's a 4. A 4. Okay, so you can see I'm giving a lot of these pictures 4s, and I'll go back later and kind of call out the best of the 4s, but it'll be a lot easier since I won't have so many 4s. Here, the bride has a tilted head and the maid of honor does not, and I think the previous picture where their heads were both tilted is nicer, so I'm going to rate that one a 2 so I don't have to look at it again. That one's a nice picture too. So the way it's looking now is I'm just going to go through later and look at just the 4s. So all my possible candidates are getting a 4 rating. All the bad pictures, like with eyes closed, are 1s, and I know I'll be able to delete those later. Okay, so I successfully rated all the pictures. Now I'm going to open up the attributes filter here and just look at the 4 and 5 star pictures. So that narrows it down. I just have 9 pictures here. Now I just need to go through and pick the best one of these pictures because I'm just going to have one picture of the bride and bridesmaid. So I just need to find my favorite one out of these. This one's okay. I like their expressions, but there's no catchlight in their eyes. We had flashes going, and the flashes probably didn't fire that one time. Maid of honor, her expression's a little funny. That one's really nice. I'm going to hit a P here to mark it as a pick. If you prefer the mouse, you can go down and select that. This one's not quite as good. It's a little off center. That's a really nice expression from the two of them. Mark that one as a pick. Maybe that one. That one's not bad either. A little bit of a different smile. You can see I'm just flipping between the two of them to see which I like better. I think I preferred the other one better. Okay, so now We have 4 stars and a few picks, so I'll show just the 4-star picks. Now that I've narrowed it down to my last few candidates, I'm going to start using the compare tool to pick between a given set of 2 pictures and really narrow it down to find the very best one. So I'll select 2 pictures here and then pull up the side-by-side comparison tool. We need as much side-to-side space as possible, so I'll close these side panels. So of these 2, I like the one on the right better, so I'll remove the flag on this one. That makes it disappear. And let's see, of these 2, I like the bride's smile over here better than over here, so I'll remove the flag on this one. Oh, click the wrong button. There we go, move the flag on that one. And of these 2, I just like the way the flash worked out better on this left one. For some reason, it came through a little heavy on this one. So I'll remove the flag on this one, and we narrowed it down to our last single pick. And we have 1 picture here. So now I've narrowed it down to 1 picture of the bride and maid of honor. This is the picture that we're going to use, that we're going to share. It deserves a little more editing, though. Any sort of portrait requires a little bit of retouching of the skin, and I can see they both have a few flyaways that could be easily cleaned up, and there's a little spot of probably sensor dust there. There's always little things that need to be fixed. I'll go ahead and let Chelsea handle that. That's what she's great at. But I have selected the final picture, so that'll make her job much easier because she'll know exactly which picture to jump to. So let's pull up our categories here and move on to another group of pictures. I'll go ahead and jump to the pictures of the bride and groom. I actually have 470 pictures that we took of the bride and groom, but most of these we'll be able to just move quickly through because I know most of them aren't going to be the pictures that we want to use. Some of these are more just kind of testing the camera, checking the lightings and the settings, and so I know we don't care about any of these. There's one that might be usable. That one's nice. So you can see what I'm doing now is I'm real quickly just moving through and rating 3 any pictures that I think I might want to use. This is just because I don't think we need to use those pictures. I had so many pictures that I needed to narrow down. Okay, some of these got dropped into the wrong category. I know they like that style of picture, so I'll make sure to include a couple of these. And I'm not being too selective now. I'm just marking everything as 3 that I might want to look at. Now I know, because I was there, that these pictures seem nice, but we changed the lighting after a couple of shots. I know they got better. So there we go. We just put the sun to their back and they worked out much better. So I was able to skip past those first. Okay, because I had to start with 470 pictures and narrow it down to find just 1 or 2 or 3 pictures of the bride and groom, I went through real quickly and just marked the pictures that I liked as a 3, those that I knew were a little bit better. When you shoot a lot of pictures like this, you spend a lot of time just culling, just narrowing it down from the thousands of pictures that you take to find just those precious few. So these skills are really important. Now I'll just view those pictures that got 3 stars or higher rating. So I'm using these filters again, very, very important. And let's see. This leaves me with 48 pictures. So I narrowed it down. I deselected 90% of the pictures. I'm going to hit Control D here to deselect them all. Now I'm just going to go through one more time. I've kind of seen all the pictures, so I know that I have some sense for which of these are going to be the best. And the pictures that I think are better than the others, I'm going to give them 4 stars. In the next pass, I'll delete all the 3-star pictures. That's a nice moment, genuine smile, so I'll give that a 4 stars. I think that picture could be rescued with a little bit of work. It's a little blown out, but I think Chelsea can fix that. Of that set, I like this off-center composition the best. I know they'll like that picture, so I'll give it a 4. You know, it's time for me to pick between these 2 pictures, and I like this one that's a little bit more off-center, better than this one. So I'll just keep that one as a 4. I don't need 2 of almost the same picture, so I just look at subtle differences in the lighting and the faces, and leave the one that's I like better as 4 stars. So now I'll narrow it down to just 4-star pictures, and you can see we went from 470 pictures to just 14 now. So we're getting there. I'm ready to start selecting pics out of this. You know, this one doesn't do that much for me. I'm just going to drop that one to a 3. Check the sharpness on this. I think I might have missed focus on it. That looks okay. I'm going to let Chelsea see if she can edit that one. I think it might be cleaned up. You know, of the pictures where they're seated together in the grass, I kind of want to pick one. And this one has the nice environment behind it, but these I think are just more solid pictures. So I'm going to drop that one to a 3 and just get rid of it from the group. This one doesn't belong in here, nor does that one. Okay, so I definitely don't need 5 of these pictures in almost identical poses, so I'll probably just pick 1. You know what, I'll leave 2. I'll leave them this wider angle one and this tighter one with the eye contact. All right, so now we have it down to 7 pictures in this group. They're all unique poses, which is really important because you don't want to ever be editing 2 pictures that are almost identical. Just pick the best one of any given pose and put your time into that picture. These pictures, still 7 pictures, we might not work with them all, but I want to go ahead and hand those off to Chelsea for deeper editing, because when she does some processing, she might find that one of these is particularly magical. These are all straight out of the camera right now, and I think they're all really good, and I think they might like all of these pictures for different reasons. So for that reason, I don't want to eliminate any more. I'm going to go ahead and mark them all as pics, just because that means that Chelsea will take a deeper look at them. I'm going to press Control A or Command A to select them all, and then P to mark them as pics. So now when I hand it off to Chelsea, my photo editor, I can just hand her this entire collection, and she'll be able to filter it by attributes and just looked at the flagged pictures. And you can see this is just the set of pictures that I've already flagged as pics, which means these are pictures that we should try to edit and send to the client. Now I'll bring Chelsea in and she can polish up these pictures and show you how to export them.
So when you're going through your wedding photos that you took and you're trying to edit them, you're going to find that you just can't edit every picture individually. It takes too much time. So a great way to get the same style of edits consistently throughout your wedding pictures or your group of pictures is to create a new preset. When Liz and Jamie asked Tony and I to photograph their wedding, they sent us example pictures of the style that they liked. And they were all really vintage, Instagrammy, hip feel. So I went through their pictures and I created a preset that I thought matched their style. To get my vintage look that I want, the first thing I'm going to do is warm up the color temperature of the photo just a bit. Next, I'll scroll down and go to split toning and select my highlights color and make it a nice peachy color. You can see that the saturation is down to about 22, so it's not too overpowering. I'm also going to make my shadows peachy, and I'll put down the saturation on those just a bit. One thing I noticed about these vintage, hip kind of pictures that are in style is that there isn't a lot of contrast. So I'm going to raise the shadows and the blacks. And put the contrast down just a smidge. If there's a different style you like, you could play around, of course, with the highlights or the whites and clarity, whatever you want, and tweak it to your style. Once you have your picture the way that you like it, you're going to go to your presets and just click Add. And I'm going to name this Liz's Wedding Vintage. And make sure that all of the correct settings are selected. So right now everything's selected, the split toning, the effects, the basic tone, and that's all good. So I'm just going to click Create. Now, if you go back to your library and there's another picture and you'd like it to match the style, you can go to Develop, click on Liz's Wedding Vintage in your presets, and you get everything the same. So it's easier. You get a consistent style throughout your photo set, and it's going to save you a lot of time.